seated. I don't know about you, but come touch us with your grace. Isn't that our prayer today? I was just reading this morning how yesterday another 30 people were killed in Palestine in one building as it collapsed upon them. The stole I'm wearing this morning was made for me by Palestinian Christian women when I was in Palestine. And it has a lot of meaning. And I think of those women, many of whom are living under horrible circumstances. They were even in times of peace living under horrible circumstances, but we can only imagine. So I will be wearing this stole for the next few weeks just to honor those women who are carrying on their lives as best they can. Would you join with me in prayer? May the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in thy sight, O God, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. It cannot be this way with us. I'm going to confess that I found this week's sermon challenging. This is the start, as I mentioned at the beginning of the service, of the United Church program, 40 Days Engaging Anti-Racism. As I read through this morning's scripture reading, I thought, yes, this is a good passage for talking about racism. And then I got into the story. Two of the disciples asked Jesus to grant them places of honor in the coming kingdom. A pretty cheeky ask. Does Jesus roll his eyes as he says, "You don't know what you're asking"? He then talks about tyrants lording it over other people and bluntly says, if you really want to be following me, it cannot be this way with you. He goes on to tell them that rather than being those with places of honor at the table, they must be the servants serving at the table. Jesus is teaching in a world where alienation, marginalization, and injustices were rampant. The disciples lived in a society that was deeply structured and designed to make sure certain people were privileged and that other people were on the outside. Being Jewish, male, and healthy was the ideal in the law. And who can guess who put those laws into place? Of course, we know what Jesus thought about that. He went to the poor, the disabled, the sick, the suffering. We talk a lot about justice in the United Church of Canada, but justice is not intellectual. It is instinctual. We realize that the other person is another self, just like us. Someone with the same rights as us. It is not theoretical, but theological. A basic thing from the Bible is that we are made in God's image, and we are called to be in service to God and everyone we meet. With justice, it becomes unacceptable to know the wrongness of a situation and to continually ignore it because we say to ourselves, it doesn't concern me. Or to become automatically suspicious of individuals because of our own stereotyped images of them, which we refuse to let go of. Or to remain silent, because if we were to raise our voice, we are concerned we might lose popularity or friends. Or if we benefit for personal comfort at the cost of someone else's pain. Or if we let other persons dictate and control the lives of other people. Anything we do or allow to be done that degrades the dignity of life is unacceptable. I like the words of G.K. Chesterton, a British writer. He once said, You've got to hate society enough to want it changed, and love it enough to want to pitch in to save it. As Jesus says, it cannot be this way with you. As I consider this, I think that change must begin with us. We don't do these things because they are a good idea, or even the right thing to do. Jesus was calling his disciples to find a passion within themselves. The desire to change must live within your heart and be in the fiber of your being. We acknowledge the sin of racism within our society, within our church, and within ourselves. We are called to be a prophetic people and to help renew the face of the earth. But what about racism? Everyone has prejudices, and we can act on those prejudices. We can also discriminate. But we are only racist when we have the societal power to act on those prejudices. For those of us who are white, we must recognize that we hold privilege and power, whether it is wanted, felt, or acknowledged. When this happens, others live without any say or power. Jesus is saying to his disciples, you have power. They are healthy Jewish males. How are you going to use that power to serve those who are marginalized in society, those who are without power in society? He tells them that they are to be a community marked by radical justice, equality, and care. He said, when you give a feast, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind, and serve them, not worrying whether or not you are at the head of the table. Jesus criticized the religious leaders who neglected the matters of the law, justice, mercy, and faith, because they were greedy and they were self-indulgent. Racism is about the social interaction of power and prejudice working concurrently, creating and molding society. Prejudice and power alone do not constitute racism. However, when societies use their position to enforce discrimination, it limits the rights and opportunities of others within those societies. The Bible explains that those who have power and resources in a community should not strive to advance or protect themselves, but should use their power to elevate the poor, the oppressed, the marginalized, the stranger, and the orphan. The media keeps us well abreast of many racist incidents. I was horrified to watch the footage of Eric Garner, an unarmed black man who was killed in 2014 after having been put in a chokehold by a New York police officer. His last words have become a slogan for the Black Lives Matters movement. I can't breathe. Do you know this phrase has been used and photographed, videotaped by over 70 people who have died in police custody? I can't breathe. Who of us can forget the footage of a police officer kneeling on George Floyd's neck for 10 minutes? Closer to home, much closer. In the early days of the pandemic, we heard accounts of people from East Asia being attacked. Joe and I have a friend, an elderly Chinese woman in Vancouver, the sweetest person you could ever meet. She was out walking and she was pushed to the ground as a young man yelled racist slurs at her. Synagogues and mosques are attacked. But it is not enough to acknowledge that racism exists. I am sure that the disciples all knew well of the ills of the society of their day. Jesus pushed them further. They were to do something. They were to move out of their comfort zone. There was a university class in Toronto discussing racism. Most of the class was white. A white male asked the only black woman in the class, "Do you think Canadians are racist?" Well, everyone thought that she would say, "Of course not." Instead, she wisely responded with the words of the American activist Angela Davis, "In a racist society, it is not enough to be non-racist. We must be anti-racist." Anti-racism is a positive term that describes people who actively work to understand, explain, and solve racial inequity and injustice. The first step is acknowledging that there is racism in all of us, and it can be quite unconscious. A group of people were shown a picture of a white man running and asked what they thought. They said they wondered what he was running to. They were then shown a picture of a black man running, and they said that they wondered what he was running from. A group was shown a picture of a black man with old shoes, and they said it showed that he was lazy for not cleaning his shoes. They were shown the same picture, but with a white man, and they said he must be very hard working. We all do this. You clutch your purse a little closer when a person of color walks by, or you keep an extra careful eye on your stuff in the gym change room. Once we become aware of our thoughts, we must ask ourselves, what are we going to do? Becoming aware means examining our own privilege as we recognize the unearned advantages we may carry and understanding how those advantages affect others. Another thing we can do is listen to marginalized voices. Listening is an act of love and solidarity. I think it requires humility and openness to learn from those whose experiences differ from your own. Are we truly hearing the stories of those who have been impacted by racism? In a congregation I served a few years ago, a young Korean university student had been attending worship for 6 months. At a board meeting, I asked if anyone knew his name, and 2 people said, "You mean there's a young Korean man worshiping in our church?" Meanwhile, everyone around that table could tell me the name of the older white couple who had just started attending the church. We must see people if we are to hear them. You've heard the phrase from James chapter 2, faith without works is dead. It is not enough to acknowledge racism and to listen. Not only do we reflect on racism, but we also work to dismantle it. We can strive to promote policies that promote equity and advocate for anti-racist policies. We can stand in solidarity with marginalized people. So often, white churches see newcomers from around the world as coming in and joining them and doing things the way they have always done them. But how do we create space for incorporating new practices, seeing our churches as places where the experience of Christian practice from all around the world, they all melt together, these experiences, and together we form something new? Can our church be a place where all voices are valued and all people celebrated? Today we must realize that racism is a communal issue. We are all in this together. It requires a response rooted in love, humility, and a shared commitment to justice. May our Christian faith inspire us to confront the realities of racism and give us courage and compassion as we work together to create a world that truly reflects the love and justice of our Creator. Amen. We are going to stand and sing our next hymn, There is a Balm in Gilead. At this time, it gives me a great pleasure to introduce to you Sally Martin, who is the Executive Director of the Valid Dreams Foundation. And many of you have met Sally. We partner with Valid Dreams Foundation for our monthly intercultural dinners. I have to admit, Sally does all of the work. I want to say I have really been moved by Sally because she has so much passion for the work that she does in the community. And I want to say that Sally and Valid Dreams Foundation are really making a difference, I feel, in Kamloops. And I am always very, very disturbed and sorry when I hear of racist incidents in our community, and unfortunately there are far too many. And I am so thankful that there are people like Sally who are specifically working to address these this blight in our community. Sally, please come forward and welcome.
Good morning again. It's me again. Thank you very much, Michael and the Kamloops United Church, for this opportunity. It is an honor and a privilege as well to be able to stand here and share with you all what we do and be able to connect with you. It has been a very interesting sermon, though I have to speak about that. And it's important that we keep on speaking about this because we can never know what is happening and how we can be able to change. Now, every Thursday, I host a radio show at the CFBX at 12 o'clock. And it was interesting. The past Thursday, I was talking about unconscious bias. But in addition to that, I spoke about storytelling and the power that stories have. For so many years, we've seen stories, but little did we see stories of people that looked like us. In one of our very interesting questions of a friend's daughter, actually it was a son, and the son asked the mother, "Mom, how comes the angel is always white and the devil is always black?" Now, for those of you, I'm sure, from the ages, if I'm not assuming that your hair is just white. Actually, by the way, I also have white hair, so just so you know. It's coming very early, I must say. And these stories that we saw since we were very young have shaped so much in how we think, in how we respond, in how we talk to people, and how we even judge them before we get to know them. Now, in my own guilt, I just thought about that and I realized it wasn't just a North America thing, and it's not even just a white thing. This has been embedded for so many years, including even in our own communities, and how Black people perceived each other for so many years. My bias was always, anytime I came across, and forgive me if you are Latino, anytime I came across someone who spoke a little Spanish, Latina-like, I thought, is he doing drugs? Does he know somebody who does drugs? Maybe he, I don't know. But it's because when you think about it, even in all the stories that we get to see in movies or in films, a lot of the times when you hear someone who's speaking a Latin or Spanish, you think they're going to be doing drugs in that movie. When you thought about a Black person in a movie, if you saw a bank being robbed, you probably suspected the Black person before you suspected anybody, and the hero was always the white person. Now, I will leave that for you to contemplate and be able to connect with yourself and create that awareness. It's not that it does not exist, and I keep saying this, but the problem lies in not recognizing, in not identifying, and trying to run away from it. But I also recognize that the problem lies in so much shame and guilting in community, but we can't move forward without forgiveness, without recognition, and doing the work. That was just by the way. I had to speak about that because it's a topic that I'm very passionate about, and when you just bring those topics, they spark me and they just bring me to life, and because I know there's work to be done, and that there's so much that we have to offer with each other. Now, Valid Dreams, for those of you who've had the opportunity to come to any of our culture dinners, perhaps, people have seen a group of young folks or young individuals or volunteers that come and cook meals, and we share and we commune together, and we've learned about different cultures. But I have to say this, that Minister Michael, although my face gets to be seen in front of Valid Dreams, I have to take back the credit and give it to the volunteers who show up to ensure that the work is really done. I might be the driver, but there's a lot of conductors and people behind there that really make sure that we get to do what we get to do. So I want to thank the volunteers and anyone that has been part of our growth journey, including Kamloops United Church. Now, our vision is to connect, educate, and empower and inspire communities. Our values: each day we envis curiosity and forgiveness towards our diverse communities through a collaborative interaction guided by inclusion and integrity. When we were thinking about our values, forgiveness was something we deliberated so much, but we realized that for us to do the work and do it meaningfully, we have to incorporate forgiveness, especially when it comes to racism or anti-racism work. When you go to the store and somebody is working behind you because they think you're going to put something in your purse, or someone is following you at the counter to make sure that you're not putting anything extra in your purse, those acts can leave one very resentful. And without forgiveness, we can't move forward. And so that and many others, misunderstandings, disagreements, can lead to a lot of friction. And so we realized that it was important that we uphold forgiveness as one of our values. In terms of our mission, we hope to create a space that welcomes everyone and creates a sense of belonging. And this is where our values really align with the Kamloops United Church. And I gotta tell you, I've never gone anywhere that I felt so much home like when I come here. And it is such a beautiful space. And thank you so much, Michael, for providing that opportunity, and the entire team at the Kamloops United Church. This has been such a beautiful partnership, I have to say. It's not been a partnership of dominance, but a partnership of equal and mutual respect and understanding. And that is the most important thing. Some partners, or some partnership, it's, I give you this, but I gotta hold you by the neck. You gotta do what I say as I say and how I say it, or, and this has just exemplified just the beautiful essence of and meaning of partnership. Even in a marriage, you're not having one on top of the other, but walking in the same direction, all of you equal together, regardless of the position and titles that you hold in community. And so thank you very much for that opportunity to the Kamloops United Church. So some of the pillars of our organization, unfortunately I couldn't be able to put a presentation here today, but I will share it with you later. Our main pillars of operation are promotion of culture, multiculturalism, and celebrating multiculturalism in the community, education on anti-racism, equity and inclusion, culturally sensitive mental health, and career advancement and supporting newcomers. We all understand the challenges that come with being a newcomer or being somewhere new that you don't know anything about your community or don't know how to really interact. And so our main goal has been to create that space through multiculturalism, and that has been a great element through the Kamloops United Church. That has made it very possible for us to continue to do that. We have many other partners in the community, but definitely the cultural dinners, for those who have the opportunity to come, have been quite, have given so much pride to a lot of newcomers and a lot of people that would like to showcase their cultures, would like to showcase their histories and their traditions, and also give them a sense of belonging and a place to build community and get to know other people. So if you have not had an opportunity to come to any of our cultural dinners, and even though the fires have affected some of the programming, we've had well-wishers in the community and different places that have been able to provide a space for us to continue that programming. So what that does is that every time we do a cultural dinner, we focus on specific community, especially minority communities, which we don't usually get to see out here. Like we had a Mauritius dinner. I mean, some people didn't even know there's a country called Mauritius in Africa, or even where it was situated. And so we really get to learn about different cultures and different communities and how they operate. And so as our main goal is to leave no one behind as well, which is also one of the Sustainable Development Goals in alignment with the United Nations. And our work is to ensure that we are walking away from creating segregations. And so when we started Valid Dreams, initially it was Kamloops Africans, but we quickly realized we can't promote segregation because these titles give a lot of segregation. Imagine if you said Kamloops United Church. I would be very terrified to come here because I don't know if it would be appropriate or not. I look different, I don't know. And so we and the team really sat down and thought, I think everyone in this space, in this earth, in this journey of life holds a dream. And their dreams matter, and their dreams have value. And that's why we decided to be Valid Dreams Foundation, so we can work with everybody as they work towards their dreams. And because a dream is anything that anyone from anywhere in the world, whether they were coming from China, India, Mongolia, anywhere in the world, they would come, and if they came to our organization, they would connect to their dreams, and we would work together to help them connect with their dreams. Hence, Valid Dreams Foundation. And some of our work has been on multiculturalism and anti-racism, and Pastor Michael and I have worked alongside to create workshops, and not just here, but with other organizations as well. And we hope to continue doing the work. And one thing that I always encourage people when they come to the workshops is that there is no shame in who you've been. The strength is in who you are becoming. And so while we may want to run away, if perhaps you've ever been, if ever acted differently towards someone that looked different from you, or maybe does, that is a place to come and learn. That is a place to even come and tap into the unconscious biases that we all hold, including myself. And that has got nothing to do with how you look. It's just something that exists in all of us. But we have to be very aware in how they present in our daily lives and in our daily decisions, and how they come to impact people, like Michael said, prejudice and power. How does that come to play a role into our everyday decisions and the people that it gets to impact? Lastly, I would like to say, to maybe share some of our sponsors. BCLC has been our great sponsor. We really appreciate that. The Government of Canada, Canada Heritage, Canadian Mental Health Association, Access Family Resources, Open Door Group, Scotiabank, the City of Kamloops, Kamloops are for Films, Let's Move Studio, and the Thompson Rivers University. And we want to thank people that have walked in. Mind you, it is a very hard journey when you're very new, especially for this kind of work or community work. And so we appreciate all those people, and as well the volunteers. Lastly, I just want to share my deepest gratitude for our volunteers that show up with so much love and passion. And as much as people see me with all the strength, I I gotta say, I have somewhere I go and recharge, and then my recharge is like the battery, you know, for those who have electric cars, you gotta go put the battery somewhere to charge. So the volunteers and our supporters definitely get to recharge that so that I am able to show up with the strength and courage. And also my mother, who's here with us today, she makes sure that I am well fed, and although that's the only fight we get to have, it's always about food when I don't get to eat her food. So I'll do my best, Mom, to make sure that your food is eaten and finished. And also the Black History, which we host every February. If you'd like to know more about us, you're welcome to visit our website. It's www.valleydreamsfoundation.com, all in one word. And if you have any questions, I'm sure the Kamloops United Church team would be able to answer your questions. If you're wondering ways that you can be able to support us as well, we're always looking for volunteers to help in various positions and departments or community work that we get to do. Thank you so much once again, Michael, for giving me the opportunity to be able to talk about the work that we do, and we look forward to seeing you in one of our anti-racism workshops, and we can get to talk with love, you know, with compassion. We don't come to condemn people, we come to learn with love and just be able to tap into how we think and how we can change on a daily basis and impact each other's lives. So thank you so much.